At its peak, MongoDB was the fastest growing database community on the planet. Startups swore by it, bootcamps taught it by default. Stack Overflow was full of people asking how to use it, not whether they should. Then something shifted. The same developers who evangelized it started calling it a mistake. Senior engineers began warning juniors away from it. Reddit threads with thousands of upvotes asked, "Did we fall for hype? So, what actually happened?" Let's get into it. To understand the backlash, you have to understand why MongoDB existed in the first place. New York City. 3 ex-DoubleClick engineers, Dwight Merriman, Elliot Horowitz, and Kevin Ryan, are sitting on a problem they've already solved once before and don't want to solve again. At DoubleClick, they were serving hundreds of thousands of ad requests per second. The relational databases of the time, think Oracle, MySQL, were rigid, expensive, and brutal to scale. You had to know your data structure up front, write migrations every time something changed, and manually shard everything when traffic grew. They left DoubleClick, built ShopWiki, an e-commerce search engine, hit the exact same database scaling wall again. So they started 10gen in 2007. The original plan was to build an entire cloud platform. Think an open source version of Google App Engine. They called it Babel. But when they showed it to developers, the reaction was clear. Nobody wanted the platform. They wanted the database underneath it. That database became MongoDB. The name, short for humongous, because it was built to handle humongous amounts of data. MongoDB launched publicly in 2009 and the timing was almost perfect. The startup boom was in full swing. Teams wanted to ship fast. Nobody wanted to spend 2 weeks writing SQL migrations every time a product requirement changed. MongoDB's pitch was simple and intoxicating. Store your data as JSON-like documents, no rigid schema, scale horizontally by just adding more servers. For a developer in 2010 building a web app, this felt like freedom. Think about what the alternative looked like. With a relational database, if your user object needed a new field, you'd write a migration, run it across your entire table, hope nothing breaks, then update your ORM. With MongoDB, you just added the field. The document stored whatever you put in it. By 2013, MongoDB had become the 4th most popular database management system in the world. MongoDB Inc., which 10gen had renamed itself, said it was the fastest growing community in big data. Bootcamps started teaching it as a default. The mean stack, MongoDB, Express, Angular, Node became the go-to starter setup for a generation of JavaScript developers. It was everywhere. Here's where the story gets uncomfortable. The pitch, flexible schema, easy scaling, no joins, was real. But what MongoDB's early marketing glossed over was the other side of those trade-offs. Problem 1, data modeling gets hard, fast. When your data is simple and self-contained, documents are great. But most real applications eventually have relationships. A user has orders, orders have products, products have categories. In a relational database, joins handle this cleanly. In MongoDB, you either duplicate data across documents, which creates consistency nightmares, or you manually reference other documents and do the joining in your application code, which is, ironically, more work. Problem 2, the no schema thing was a trap. Developers loved that MongoDB didn't enforce a schema, until they inherited a MongoDB codebase 6 months old, where every document had a slightly different shape because nobody had agreed on a structure. Querying that data became a debugging nightmare. Problem 3, the default settings weren't safe. This is the one that really damaged MongoDB's reputation. Independent testing, including Jepsen audits, a standard test suite for database safety itself, found that MongoDB's defaults could give you weaker consistency guarantees than you expected. In certain crash scenarios, data that MongoDB had confirmed as written could be lost. It wasn't that MongoDB always lost data, it's that if you didn't deeply understand write concern, journaling, and replica sets, and most developers didn't, you could be flying blind. And under all of this was the old storage engine, MMAPV1, which had memory behavior issues, poor concurrency, and could hit file size limits in production in ways that were genuinely hard to recover from. MongoDB heard the criticism, and to their credit, they acted on it. In late 2014, MongoDB acquired a company called WiredTiger, a storage engine company, and made it the default engine in MongoDB 3.0 in 2015. WiredTiger brought document-level concurrency, proper compression, write-ahead logging, and dramatically better crash recovery. The disk footprint shrank. The performance under right pressure improved significantly. They also pushed hard into the enterprise market. MongoDB Atlas, their fully managed cloud service, launched in 2016. The IPO followed in 2017 on NASDAQ. The story shifted from startup-friendly NoSQL database to serious enterprise data platform. The database got genuinely better. The problem was that the reputation had already calcified. A generation of developers had been burned by early MongoDB deployments, and that experience stuck. The memes outlived the bugs. So where does MongoDB sit in 2025? Still very much alive, still very much used. MongoDB Atlas powers real production systems at scale. The company reported revenue of around $1.7 billion in FY 2024 and now has over 46,000 customers worldwide. They've pushed into vector search and AI workloads, which keeps them relevant as the industry shifts. But the sentiment has changed permanently. Developers no longer reach for MongoDB by default. The question is no longer why not MongoDB, it's does this problem actually need MongoDB? PostgreSQL added JSON support years ago. Newer databases have emerged. The default for most web apps has quietly shifted back to relational. MongoDB is a tool, a genuinely good tool for the right job. Semi-structured data, rapidly changing schemas, distributed document storage, AI pipelines. But the era where it was the answer to every question is over. The MongoDB story isn't about a bad database, it's about what happens when a tool gets adopted faster than people understand its trade-offs. The hype wasn't wrong. MongoDB solved real problems, but the defaults were permissive, the marketing glossed over the edges, and a lot of teams paid the price. The lesson? Every database is a set of trade-offs. Know yours before you commit. I'm Dev Cafeteria. Next video, how DNS actually works. The thing that makes the entire internet function, and almost nobody can explain. Subscribe so you don't miss it.